Hi everyone, my name is Chelsea Wonderly and I'm going to present an overview of television programs and their perpetuation of racial and ethnic stereotypes. And I wanted to start off with a big question, which was, have we progressed? And I'd like you to come to your own conclusion by the end of the slideshow. So, American Bandstand was the first television show to be nationally broadcasted and integrated in 1957. That's 7 years before the Civil Rights Movement, the Civil Rights Act was actually passed, so it's kind of a big deal. And I wanted to compare that to this show called Blackish, which was released this year by ABC, and it's basically a show that is reestablishing the line between African American and white culture, because Dre, the main character and the head of the family, is worried that his 4 children are becoming too quote-unquote white. Which I thought was pretty terrifying, seeing as how American Bandstand risked so much to break down the borders between African Americans and Caucasians, and Blackish, the show, the name itself kind of gives it away. Blackish, you can't be a successful businessman in, suburbia and be African American. You're not black, you're blackish, which was, terrifying to me. And I just wanted to take a step back and take a look at 2 similar shows. They both have similar plots, and kind of compare the 2 for myself to see if I could find any underlying stereotypes I maybe didn't recognize before. So I took a look at Empire and Breaking Bad, because they both have the premise of this man who's diagnosed with a disease, and what happens after that. Basically, it starts off with Lucius Lyon, Empire does, with Lucius Lyon being diagnosed with ALS, and you get a look into his past, in which he was a drug dealer and used that money that he got from dealing drugs to fund his hip-hop business, which is 2 huge stereotypes right there. An African-American man has to have a criminal record and has to, open a hip-hop business. He couldn't have invented something or invested really well. It has to be that he's a criminal. Meanwhile, we have Walter White here, who is diagnosed with cancer, and doesn't have health insurance, and has no choice but to make drugs to pay for his medical bills. It was pretty crazy that there was a line like that drawn saying, the only thing that could cause a white man to turn to illegal means would be if he was diagnosed with something as extreme as cancer. Meanwhile, actual statistics say that there are more whites using drugs than African Americans, but more African Americans are going to jail for it. Speaking of shows, I really wanted to look at sitcoms, because I really feel like they are so dependent upon ethnic and racial stereotypes, underlying or otherwise. They can be subtle, they can be not so subtle, like here Gloria from Modern Family, who's Colombian, is saying that she is Latin, so she gets to feel whatever she wants, which is a great example of a marginalized race being stereotyped and sneaking that stereotype in for people to laugh at. There are people who say that humor can help, and it does. Humor is supposed to diffuse situations. It's not supposed to focus on serious stuff. It's just meant for fun. That totally makes sense, except when the line between what's funny and fun and entertainment isn't being drawn between what's actually reality. Lichter and Lichter in 1988 conducted a study with 1,200 public high school students, in which they asked them what they thought of television, or why they watched television. And 1 in 4 agreed that TV shows are what life is really like, and people on TV are like real life, which means that line isn't being drawn. So television can influence opinions. Dubriel from Georgia State University conducted a study in which these students had to listen to recordings with a picture associated of either a white man or an African American man, and the results found that the race of a source of televised information can still influence attitudes. Another study conducted by, or included in the book Suspicious Nation by Lisa Bloom, showed that 60% of viewers who viewed a crime story with no picture of the perpetrator falsely recalled seeing one, and of those, 70% believed he was African American. This is crazy, because they're being misrepresented. Marginalized races are being misrepresented by media outlets in that case, and that influence is leaking into real life. Fox News, for example, had 11% of guests in 2014 of people that were people of color, which means the other 88% were all Caucasian. Meanwhile, they averaged 2.361 million viewers a night. So not only are races being misrepresented, they're being underrepresented as well. Next, we can take a look at reality television, which I thought was really important to include because reality TV isn't real. It's staged, it's scripted, whatever. It reinforces old stereotypes and creates new stereotypes. An average person watches TV 34 hours of TV a week, which is crazy. And then research from Wyatt and Kay Bunton in 2012 said that people are much more likely to automatically invoke negative stereotypes about people and communities they don't know. So if you watch a show like Jersey Shore and these Italian Americans are, going at it, you're going to automatically assume that, Italian Americans are violent or crazy. There's this idea that stereotypes can help, meaning that stereotypes can mean that portraying stereotypes in your television show can equal acknowledgement, and by acknowledging them, you're making sure that they aren't enforced. But if anything, it's encouragement. It's letting them know that yes, this is what happens. This is real, because again, people aren't drawing that line between reality and fiction. So there's good and there's bad to television. It can encourage acceptance, it can break through stereotypes, but it can also misrepresent cultures, ethnicities, races, whatever, and enforce stereotypes that actually really hurt people. You can help by not accepting that behavior and by paying attention to the shows you watch and making sure that you don't participate in them. Thank you so much for watching this broadcast. I really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day.